leadership in facilitating this agreement. It is time that we join together to restore peace in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and Libya. To this end, the OIC must strengthen its security mechanisms to promote solutions through dialogue and negotiations to all inter-Islamic conflicts and disputes. I hope the conference will agree that we join together to restore peace in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and Libya. To this end, the OIC must strengthen its security mechanisms to promote solutions through dialogue and negotiations to all inter-Islamic conflicts and disputes. I hope the conference will agree to continue consideration on Pakistan's proposal to strengthen the OIC security architecture. Excellencies, dear brothers and sisters, if we are to be the masters of our own destiny, the Islamic world and each of our nations must achieve genuine economic independence and sovereignty. The economies of most of our members have been devastated by the COVID pandemic, global inflation, climate impacts, and proliferating conflicts. They face a triple crisis in food, fuel, and finance. Pakistan has been hit by a perfect storm. After the impacts of COVID, inflation, and economic collapse in Afghanistan, the consequences of the Ukraine war, my country was devastated by biblical floods last summer. We are grateful for the generous support for emergency relief and for our comprehensive reconstruction plan from brotherly countries and Islamic institutions. However, Pakistan's economic and financial recovery has been eroded by the difficult and interminable negotiations with the IMF. As stated by the UN Secretary General, the international financial architecture is morally bankrupt. The OIC and developing countries must develop a clear strategy to secure equity and equal treatment in the rules and structures of international finance, trade, and taxation. We must establish a special task force of experts to develop such a strategy. We must demand speedy debt restructuring for 60 financially distressed countries, the fulfillment of official development assistance commitments, and the redistribution of unutilized SDRs to developing countries, enlarged lending by multilateral development banks, massive public-private investment in sustainable infrastructure, and the mobilization of the promised climate finance of $100 billion annually. Finally, the OIC countries must prepare themselves for the future. We should instill sustainability and modern physical infrastructure, acquire advanced knowledge and digital capabilities, and the capacity to compete and prosper in the digital global economy and of the future. To this end, Pakistan initiated the agreement for collaboration between the OIC and the Digital Cooperation Organization. I propose that the OIC create a committee for the future, which can chart a clear long-term strategy for sustainable growth and development of OIC member states. Excellencies, dear brothers and sisters, Islamophobia is an old phenomenon. Since 9/11, Muslims have been frequently associated with terrorism. Islamophobia has now become endemic in several countries and societies. Our faith, which denotes peace and tolerance, our sacred books, and even the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, have been defamed with impunity, utilizing the excuse of so-called freedom of expression. In a number of Western and other countries, Muslims face systemic discrimination and violence. The worst manifestation of Islamophobia is officially sponsored supremacist ideology, Hindutva ideology. 200 million Muslims in India are in grave peril, facing cow vigilantes, lynch mobs, and calls for forceful conversion or expulsion. The organization Genocide Watch has warned of the possibility of genocide. Dear brothers and sisters, the adoption of the General Assembly's resolution on Islamophobia last year as an initiative of the OIC was a significant achievement. Pakistan, as OIC chair, together with the President of the UN General Assembly, in a historic first, convened a session in the UN General Assembly to commemorate the day to combat Islamophobia. We are grateful to the UN Secretary General and the Secretary General of the OIC for participating in this commemoration, and I trust that this commemoration of the day to combat Islamophobia will now become an annual feature at the United Nations. I have urged the UN Secretary General to formulate an action plan to halt and reverse Islamophobia. Such a plan should include the appointment of a UN Special Envoy, international measures for the protection of Islamic holy sites, the adoption of laws to outlaw hate speech, acts of vandalization of the Holy Quran, and discrimination and violence against Muslims, legal assistance to victims of Islamophobia, and judicial mechanisms to hold those responsible for acts of Islamophobia accountable. The OIC must take the lead in the formulation and the implementation of such an action plan against Islamophobia. Dear brothers and sisters, on 8th of March, International Women's Day, I convened a conference on women in Islam at the United Nations. The purpose was to correct the widespread misperception that women are oppressed in Islamic societies and to celebrate the achievements of Muslim women. This too should become an annual event at the United Nations. Islam was the first to accord equal rights to women. Muslim women have played leadership roles in history and in contemporary times. We should accelerate the implementation of the OIC Action Plan for the advancement of women, mobilize and allocate adequate resources to bridge gender gaps in health, education, science, finance, and other areas, and review and reform laws that discriminate against women. The OIC must accord special attention to programs to assist women and girls in conflict zones under foreign occupation, such as Jammu and Kashmir and Palestine. Dear brothers and sisters, Pakistan's overreaching endeavor during its chairmanship has been to remain the promotion of solidarity, unity, and cooperation among members of the OIC, and to amplify the voice and aspirations of the world's 2 billion Muslims. Apart from several conferences and proposals I have mentioned, Pakistan during its tenure also initiated a discussion on Islamic microfinance, secured adoption of the Convention on Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement, and the adoption of the midterm review document of the OIC 2025 Programme of Action. Pakistan will host the 18th OIC Trade Fair in June this year, and we also look forward to hosting the OIC Ministerial Conference on Women Empowerment later this year. We will continue to contribute to building the capacity in OIC member states in information and communication technology, health, medicine, education, training and research, including through the Islamabad-based OIC Committee on Science and Technology. Dear brothers and sisters, as Pakistan hands over the chair of the OIC CFN to the brotherly Mauritania, we do so with full confidence that it will endeavor tirelessly to realize the OIC's goals to justice and equality, the well-being of the weak and the vulnerable, regional and global peace and prosperity, and above all, Islamic solidarity, unity, and prosperity. I would like to congratulate and welcome the Foreign Minister of Mauritania as chair of the 49th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers, and convey my best wishes and assurances of full cooperation for successful steering of the Conference of Foreign Ministers. I am confident that this conference will take far-reaching steps to realize our common objectives of the Muslim countries. It has been a unique pleasure and a privilege to serve you in our capacity of Chair of the Council of Foreign Ministers. I will now head over and officially hand over to my successor. Now, I would like to announce the Bureau of the 49th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers. The chair is the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. Vice chairs, the State of Palestine, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the People's Republic of Bangladesh. And as a rapporteur, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Please join me in welcoming the Foreign Minister of Mauritania, to lead the 49th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers. Can I request the Foreign Minister of Mauritania to come take his seat?
صاحب المعالي وزير الخارجية السيد محمد سالم المرزوق مطلوب من معالي الوزير الانضمام إلينا.
अड़तालीसवां वज़ीर ख़ारजा का ये OIC इजलास, जिसमें वज़ीर ख़ारजा बिलावल भुट्टो ज़रदारी ने खिताब